All right, so Canada's looking like we're gonna ban plastic, a lot of plastic stuff. According to CTV here, it's going to be bags, straws, cutlery, and other single-use items by the end of 2021. Now, will this actually go through? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, a lot of this kind of stuff, it always takes longer than the government wants. The government says it takes going to take a year to do something. It probably takes five, so we'll see. But the point being is that this doesn't make any sense. Like I really don't understand this whole idea. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, the first thing being is it's going to drive in more and more industry out of Canada because why in the world would you want to have a company when that manufactures this stuff when they're basically going to regulate it out of existence, right? So this is going to cost more people jobs. And again, I think that's the liberal plan here is that they don't care about how many jobs that are lost. What they care about is pushing the globalist big government agenda, right? Now, in their mind, they think that's right. I'm not trying to ensue anything different there, but in their minds, they think they're right, and most of their supporters do as well. Again, the problem being is that their solution isn't going to work because their solution is to, I mean, number one, it's going to be, oh, well, if you don't have a job, whatever, we're just going to give you free money. And number two, I mean, here's the, I guess I should go back a little bit. The whole point coming out of this whole pandemic situation needs to be, as far as the government goes, is how can we create growth, right? Because the only way we're going to get out of this and not come into it into a, I mean, we're already in a recession, but not be in a massive, recession that's going to last for years is if we start growing things and growing things at a pretty good pace. The problem being is that we're not doing that, and I think we have a government that's committed to not doing that. And here's the reason why is that from their point of view, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter because what happens if what happens if people don't have jobs or their solution is just to give people free money? And what happens when people are reliant on the free money? Well, they're going to reliably vote for them. So from their perspective, it makes perfect sense that they're going to continue to push this kind of stuff because number one, they're going to push their BS green economy, which isn't actually going to help the economy. It's only going to hurt the economy. And them knowing that, they can just use that as an excuse to push more big government programs, expand the welfare state, maybe push a UBI, who knows, but they'll at the very least expand things. So again, it's all part of a larger goal, right? Like it's all part of a larger goal. So anyway, the next thing they bring up is from Anthony Fury here. And he says the Ontario modeling released this morning interestingly shows that 10 days in the current ICU numbers are lower than even their low end scenario. So again, this is from about a week ago. The numbers have gone up a little bit since then, but still, nonetheless, it is still a very telling graph in that the actual numbers of people that are in the ICU is lower than their literal lowest case scenario or literally their best case scenario, right? So this is the problem that like I've been pointing out for literally for months now is at every step of the way here the government has not only over estimated or over projected the numbers, but they've grossly over projected and overestimated, like grossly. Like the numbers in Canada was what, like 200,000 dead. In the states it was 2 million. We're looking at numbers 10 times less than that. So again, like, and here's the thing, like most people watching this, you're probably fully aware of this, I understand that, but the majority of the population, I think it's probably a slight majority that are fed up with this, but I think that there's a pretty sizable percent of the population, probably 20-30%, maybe a little bit more, that still believe that this is this massive issue, that it's doomsday here, even though, like I say, the death rate's less than the flu. The projections are far far lower than what the government originally thought, right? Like talking about lockdowns and all this, restricting anything in any way, shape, or form more than it currently is absolute insanity. Like absolute insanity. Because the numbers don't, there's no reason to back it up. And here's the thing, at no point will these people admit they're wrong either. Like, you look at some of these big cities, they've all had mask mandates for at least 2 months, a lot of them upwards of 3 months. The cases have gone up, but are they being like, yeah, we tried the whole mask thing, we're going to go away from it? Well, no, they're just doubling down, right? Like they're just doubling down. It's exactly what I told people too. You talk to people online and they're like, oh, it's because people aren't wearing them properly. Well, that's exactly what I told these people 2 or 3 months ago. I told them word for word. Most people don't wear them properly, not to mention they don't have a significant impact even to begin with. And no, every single one of these mask zealots said some people, even if it's a small percentage of people, will help. Every one of them said that. But guess what? They're all wrong. They're all wrong. So again, that's the another thing I wanted to point out. And again, like I say, they're never going to admit they're wrong. They're going to keep doubling down and doubling down until people have had enough. And that's going to be a pretty scary thing, going into this winter. Again, so coming out of the debate, one of well, maybe the biggest talking point was, oh, Trump refused to condemn white supremacists, and again, um, Joe Biden brought up the Proud Boys as an example of a white supremacist group. Now, again, I do believe there is some Proud Boys that are racist. I do believe that's the case. But I think the vast majority of them aren't. And the numbers clearly back that up in that you have the leader of the Proud Boys, pictured here. I don't know exactly what he is, but he ain't white. I mean, you'd have to go look him up. But nonetheless, he ain't white. Not to mention, too, I've seen many other posts on Twitter of prominent Proud Boys members that aren't white. And again, this is the leftist argument that on one hand they believe that if you're on the right and you're black, then you can still be a racist, right? Like you can still be a racist. But on the other hand, they believe that black people can't be racist, right? Like black people can't be racist. So again, which one is it? Like the whole critical race theory idea, right? So seriously, which one is it? Can blacks be racist or not? Like it doesn't make any sense. Now, the clear reality is that um, it's highly unlikely, like highly unlikely that um, black people or non-whites can be white supremacists, right? Like that doesn't make. And this is coming from the same group of people that calls Candace Owens a white supremacist. They call Ben Shapiro a Nazi. Now again, I'm not a big fan of Ben Shapiro, but nonetheless, he is literally Jewish, 100%, and yet they still call him a Nazi. Again, so this idea is that they're bringing up is absolutely insane, and not to mention too, there is multiple video clips of Trump condemning white supremacists, literally going back to since before he was president in the debates, right? So, and not to mention too, these people have to know that that's the case. Like they really have to know that, and the fact that they don't just goes to show that the whole goal is to be disingenuous. The whole goal is to gaslight. Um, they knew it. And here's the thing. The one thing that I do know is that whenever the left is playing the race card, whenever they're playing the race card, that's usually an admission of we don't have any more ammo left. We can't debate you on the policy. We can't debate you on your merits. We have to resort to simply playing the race card. So the one thing I do know is that whenever the race card is played when it comes to these debates and in politics in general, it's almost always an admission that the people being accused of being racist are winning the argument or the debate, right? So, again, that's just something I wanted to point out. And the last thing to bring up here is from Lee Stewie on Twitter. I'm just wondering why Ontario would lay off 100 registered nurses in the middle of a pandemic. Again, how does this make any sense? Now, again, to be fair, I mean, not to be fair, sorry. Ontario hired more like bylaw officers, like these people, these complete idiots going around giving people tickets. So again, um, this isn't about safety. This isn't about reducing the spread. This is simply about control. How can we have more control? Control, control, control. That is what this is about, right? And again, this, like I say, this is the thing that if it was actually about safety, like Ontario, the cases have gone way up, and ooh, we need to be so worried, but we're laying off nurses. Like, how does this make any sense? Now, again, there may be a more simple example to this, but it really doesn't make any sense either. That from the left's perspective, from the crowd that tends to be more pro lockdown, they wouldn't be for this either. Like they wouldn't be for this either. So I don't think either side, either side, sorry, is very, a very big fan of this. So again, um, I'd really like to know what's going on here. Like I'd really like to know what's going on here. And I think the reality is that the quote unquote pandemic is not something we need to be worried about anymore. I think that the government recognizes that and they don't need the nurses that they were expecting to need, so they lay some. I mean, again, 100 nurses in a province of like 15 million people, that's a drop in the bucket. I understand that, but still, if it was actually about public safety and all this kind of garbage they like claiming it's about, then why are they doing this? And here's the thing: if it's not about control and it's not about um, being more draconian as a government, then they wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff, right? Like they wouldn't be doing this kind of stuff. And the fact that they are just goes to show that you fire some nurses and you hire some bylaw officers. The goal is clearly we're going to need to be enforcing a draconian police state going forward. And the only way we're going to be able to do it is we don't need more nurses because the pandemic's not something we need to be worried about. Well, the one thing we're going to need is more people to go around giving out frivolous tickets, right? So that's what the government's goal is here, I believe. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. If you like to, make sure you hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Also, BitChute and Parler as backups, but mainly Twitter. All those links are in the description, so you can find them all there.